I'm Jenny Na. I'm a lawyer at Borden, Ladner, Gervais, working in the Labor and Employment Department. I'm here with Susan Sorensen, who also works in the Labor and Employment Department. Today, we'll be talking about workplace violence and harassment. By watching this video, you are helping your organization comply with Bill 168. Before we get into details about the new legislation, who does it affect? Does it matter what kind of business you're in or how many employees or locations it has?
Jenny, I get asked that question all the time. No, this legislation covers all types of workplaces. Of course, each workplace may look very differently, and how the legislation is applied internally may look different in your workplace from another one. So for example, a facility that includes heavy machinery might have different safety concerns and a different set of resulting safety procedures than, say, an office or building environment like we're in. But nonetheless, all must comply with the rules established to assure a safe workplace. As you know, the Ministry of Labor investigates workplaces when there's been a serious accident or death, or where there's been a serious threat posed. So over 2006 and 2007, the ministry found that it was actually going into workplaces at a rate of about 300 to 400 times per year, dealing with issues of workplace violence and harassment. The first step is for employers across Ontario to conduct a workplace violence risk assessment. It's a whole bunch of words, but basically to do this, they must consider factors unique to their own workplace that might expose workers to violence. Factors such as the office neighborhood, the building security controls, the size of the building, the location of entries and exits, configuration of the parking area, considerations about the perimeter of the building. All of those are examples. The employer might also look at human risks, such as hours worked by the employees, any concerns with respect to interpersonal relationships at work, or the probability of upset customers or clients. Most organizations have to create policies to address potential risks and to establish clear rules and procedures for dealing with them. The policies need to include issues such as how people can get immediate assistance if there's an issue of danger or imminent threat around them, how they can report incidents, and how the incidents will be investigated.
My guess is that a threatening act doesn't need to include a gun or a scalpel to be considered violence in the workplace.
So Jenny, you're absolutely right about that. In the legislation, violence is defined very broadly. First, it includes any action that is an exercise of force, such as pushing or hitting.
So if violent contact is made, the incident is considered violent?
Yes, but contact doesn't have to be made at all. The attempt to even exercise force is considered violence, and even the threat of the exertion of force is considered violence under the Act.
And what are some examples of actions that wouldn't actually be considered violence under the Act?
Well, that's a really good question, and we need to be cautious. All of us blow up sometimes, and we may need to release small pressure valves to stop ourselves from really becoming violent. So if someone sweeps papers off their desk, becomes upset, maybe even curses, I'm not really sure that this would qualify as a violent behavior under the Act. That said, if it happened all the time, or to the point where an individual found it intimidating and really difficult to manage, then that person should probably report it.
So that's the definition of violence under the Act. Is it possible to list things that are not considered to be harassment?
Sure, although every situation has to be assessed based on the facts, so it can be hard to generalize. But for instance, generally speaking, legitimate performance management, constructive criticism or evaluation is not considered to be harassment, even if the worker doesn't like what they're hearing. The workplace is no longer confined to the building or space of the company. It's anywhere where business takes place, whether the employee is attending an event or otherwise working off-site. And that includes social events like company Christmas parties or social events for a client. There's also an obligation by workers to report activities or suspicions as well. And we should also emphasize that all of the duties and obligations are shared by managers and supervisors as well. Safe workplaces are really and truly all of our responsibility.